Good afternoon. The time is 1:30 p.m. The date is Thursday, March 6, 2025. It's another beautiful day here in Paradise, and I'm happy to call to order the regularly scheduled March 2025 meeting of the West Palm Beach Zoning Board of Appeals. At this point, I'd like our secretary to please call the roll.
Dana Picott.
Here.
Jonathan Burgess.
Here.
Christopher Hagan.
Here.
Sherry Hack. Let the record reflect that Emmeline Savage, Christopher Kammerer, and Alfred Fields are not present.
Thank you. We do have the minimum required for a quorum, so we will begin the proceedings here today. And I'll give instructions to the applicant when we get to that point on the agenda regarding the vote, that it will require a unanimous vote. But at this point, I would like everyone to stand and please recite the Pledge of Allegiance. Please be seated. Okay, the first order of business is the approval of the minutes from the February 2025 Zoning Board of Appeals meeting. These were in the packet that was distributed prior to the meeting. So first, if there are any additions or corrections to the minutes, I'll entertain any of those. If not, I'll just entertain a motion to approve.
Just one clarification. It looks like instead of large canvas trees, the word should just be canopy, just to let the record reflect that in the minutes. No other changes.
Okay, okay, perfect. Any other additions, modifications, corrections? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, the minutes are approved. Next, we'll go to a report from our Planning Division staff. Ms. Jones-Van.
Good afternoon, board members. Planning staff has no updated report today.
Okay, thank you. I'll go over now we move to remarks from the chairperson. I'll move into just an explanation of how the proceedings will work today. Matters before the Zoning Board of Appeals are quasi-judicial in nature. Anyone wishing to speak, including members of the public who wish to offer public comment, will need to be sworn in. The applicant will make a presentation and then answer any questions from the board. The applicant will then be followed by city staff, who will provide a presentation and recommendation to the board and then answer any questions. Members of the public will then be given the opportunity to provide comment, with each person receiving up to 3 minutes. City staff will also insert any public comment received in advance of today's meeting, such as emails, voicemails, etc., into the record. The applicants will have the opportunity for rebuttal at the discretion of the chair here. The floor will then be closed and the board will go into executive session for a discussion, a motion, and then a vote. As a reminder, 4 votes are required for approval. Because there are 4 members present here today, that means that any motion that is made would need to be unanimous today. So with that, we'll move on to the declaration of ex parte communication, and I'll start with Board Member Picott.
Thank you. As to matter case number 3447, I have not had ex parte communications. I have not received written communications. I have not conducted an investigation. I have not made a site visit. I have not received expert opinions. I request that these disclosures and all written communications be made part of the record.
Thank you. Board Member Burgess.
As to case number 3447, I have not had ex parte communications. I have not received written communications. I have not conducted an investigation. I have not made a site visit. I have not received expert opinions. I request that these disclosures and all written communications be made part of the record.
Thank you. And Board Member Hack. Thank you. And for me, as to matter 3447, I have not had ex parte communications. I have not received written communications. I have not conducted an investigation. I have not made a site visit. I have not received expert opinions. I request that these disclosures and all written communications be made part of the record. With that, we'll move on to the public hearing, and the first order of business there is to swear in the speakers. So if you wish to speak on the case that is before us today, please rise and be sworn in.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you.
Thank you. We have no continued cases, so the only matter on our agenda today is Zoning Board of Appeals case number 1, on our C1 on our agenda, and I'll first have our secretary to please read that item into the record.
This is a request by Walter Hyde III, A1A of Design Art Architects FL LLP, on behalf of Jane Williams, the owner, for a 5-foot variance pursuant to Section 94-76A2A of the city's zoning and land development regulations to allow the enclosure of a carport within the required front setback. The subject property, consisting of approximately 0.17 acres, is generally located at 228 Nottingham Boulevard within Commission District Number 5, Commissioner Christina Lambert.
Thank you. We'll first start off with the applicant to make a presentation. And when you start, just please state your name and address for the record.
Sure. Good afternoon, Walter Hyde Architect. My address is 115 Southwest Essex Drive in Port St. Lucie. As mentioned, I'm here to represent the owners of 228 Nottingham, John and Jane Williams, who recently purchased this 1937 build and decided to keep it and modify it. They love the area, they love the charm and the character of this house. However, they do wish to have secure storage for a vehicle, as well as, kids' bikes, pool stuff. They don't want a messy yard. They want unconditioned, secure storage for their belongings, as well as a vehicle in the time of inclement weather, or maybe they need to go on vacation. They don't want it to be obvious their car is sitting out in front of their house for over a week. They can put it in the garage and feel safer. So this is the street view of the existing residence. Right now, the structure that we're proposing to convert into a garage is an existing carport, as pictured here on the right-hand side. This is the street, highlighting the property here. Most of these houses look like they are original to the area, and several of them do violate that current setback of 25 feet. This is a survey that also shows an addition that we're doing under a separate application. The red box is the carport that we're looking to convert. The setback to the column is currently 20'3", so that's going to require a 4'9" variance. The paperwork said 5 feet. We were okay with 5 feet, but we really need 4'9", so we're actually asking for just slightly less than what might have been published. Here is again, our plot plan showing the conversion of the carport. Maybe 6 foot of wall gets added on one side, same as the other, and then we get a nice set of carriage style garage doors on the front to close that off. Just an enlarged view, because I know the scale can be difficult to see at times. Oh, it's almost 7.5 feet of wall that we'd be infilling. Here is the carport close up. This is actually a progress photo. We've added outdoor storage to the carport as a part of another application. So this is the most current view. If you drove by today, it'd look like this. This is the rest of the house. I'm not going to bore the board with this data. Basically, I like to review a few points when considering a variance. Is this out of the character of the community? The answer is no. Several homes have garages on the street, and as I previously pointed out, several homes are in violation of the setback. There's no negative environmental impact by this project. This basically already all exists. We don't have a great avenue for another solution for a garage. It would make no sense to add yet another parking structure and driveway to this property. And this hardship is not self-created. This is pre-existing non-conforming. We're trying to do our best to preserve this house and work with what we have, and just looking to improve the security with the vehicle parking by having an enclosed garage versus the open carport. And again, you know, stacked bikes outside might draw in the wrong type of person or interest to the house. They want to keep things clean and not attracting of any negativity. So here's a house at the end of the block that ironically has a similar bump out that maybe was a carport at some point, but it's also been converted or is now a garage. And a little more out of character of this neighborhood, but this exists at the end of the street. Someone chose to knock down this house and rebuild. Their garage is street facing, very close to the street. And again, just want to point out that while we had the option to do a project like this, the owner was very adamant about keeping what they had started with, and they love that character. So that concludes my presentation.
Thank you. We'll now go to any board member questions for the applicant's representative. So I'll start off with Board Member Burgess.
No questions for the applicant.
Okay. Board Member Hack? Okay. And Board Member Picard?
No questions.
I have no questions of the applicant, so thank you. Okay. Now we'll move to staff and staff's presentation.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Luis Santini, Senior Planner with the City of West Palm Beach Planning and Zoning Division. So the applicant has conducted a very adequate presentation, therefore I'm going to be very straightforward with my presentation, touching a few points where the applicant didn't touch, such as the subject property is 0.17 acres in square footage, which is roughly 7550 square feet. It is zoned a single-family low-density SF7 and is also surrounded with residential uses. As previously stated, the requires 25 feet currently to the zoning land development regulations. Section 9476A2A of the city's zoning land development regulations. The applicant is requesting a variance of 4 feet 9 inches, which will set back the property with the current 20 foot 3 inches from the front property line. Therefore, staff recommending approval subject to the conditions that the front setback variance shall not apply to the proposed enclosed carport. So shall only apply to the proposed enclosed carport. Thank you. That conducts my presentation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So we'll now go to board member questions for city staff. We'll go to Board Member Hack first. Okay, Board Member Picard?
No question.
Okay, Board Member Burgess?
Yeah, just one question on your report now. You mentioned single-family 7 zoning surrounded by single-family. The that looks like there's some multifamily 20 on the subject property and surrounding. So can you clarify for the purposes of the record what the zoning is?
It is located within the single-family SF7 is located there.
All right, so that's different from what the recommendation in the staff report says. I want to make sure it's consistent. Subject property zone multifamily medium density residential according to the staff report. So
It's
just
a
if you could
multifamily medium
clarify.
density. My apologies. There was a typo on the graphic. My apologies.
Okay.
Multifamily medium density. Thank you. Thanks for the correction.
I don't think it has a direct impact on my consideration here. I just wanted to clarify for the record.
Yeah, if it is referenced in the motion, then we want to make sure that we've referenced it correctly. So
Thanks for the correction, again.
no other questions?
No other questions?
Okay. I had just a couple of questions. One is, so our understanding that the reason this is coming before this board is this is not in a designated historic district,
It is not.
because otherwise, building from 1938, I would think if it were, it would be a contributing structure in a historic
Correct.
district. And therefore, it was pointed out there was a house at the end of the street that had been demolished and replaced with a, I don't know the architectural style, but I'd say modern or contemporary. So there are no protections otherwise that prevent that from happening here? Like this could be demolished?
If it is not designated a historical component, then therefore they can actually build a new single-family residence according to the current zoning land development regulations without following the historical district regulations, sir.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think that one thing that is important is, you know, in the city, I think that we value is trying to preserve historic buildings, even though, you know, this is an alteration to it that may not be in and of itself historically accurate, but it's still keeping the rest of the structure, which is historic, when it could theoretically be entirely demolished, as unfortunately we are seeing in the some of the neighborhoods that aren't declared historic districts. I think the other thing that I looked at was, you know, whether the variance was necessary if you could construct a garage and not, and if you could put up the site plan, if it was in your presentation, or maybe it was in the applicant's. Sorry, I think it might have been.
That's okay. I'll
And this
refer
might have
to
been
that.
better for, you know, to address to the applicant.
Actually,
Oh, yeah,
I
perfect.
have it here.
Okay.
It was hidden.
Yeah, because I think, looking at it, you know, one other thing that seemed,
Oh, didn't go through. I'm gonna have to leave it like this because it's
yeah,
it's
that's
hidden.
fine.
Yep.
That's fine, was whether you could comply and not require variance by putting it on the east side of the structure. But the problem is, the entire east side of the structure, when I reviewed the site plan, is bedrooms.
That is
And so
correct.
you can't access it unless you again, you could theoretically build something that complied with the variance requirement on the east side of the structure, but then you're entering the garage from a bedroom or a bathroom, which doesn't seem to make sense.
The east side, and matter of fact, sir, the east side is actually already encroaching about 3 feet within the required front setback. It was built already with that encroachment. Therefore, it will be also considered as a legal non-conforming today according to the ZLDR.
Yeah, well, and again, what I looked at was maybe it could be set back 20, you know, so it did meet the 25-foot requirement and appended onto that side of the building, but then, again, looking at it, the entire east wall is bedrooms and bathrooms, so you couldn't really enter the garage without, like, you're walking through a bedroom or a bathroom, and so, again, that's not functional, it doesn't appear to
Absolutely
be.
correct. I agree.
Okay, I don't have any other questions of staff, so at this point, we'll move to the public hearing, and I'll open the public hearing. I do have one card, so it's Gary York, so please come to the podium, state your name and address for the record, please, and you have 3 minutes.
Hello, I'm Gary York. I live at 212 Nottingham. I own 214 Nottingham and 4111 Washington Road. I received notices of the hearing on all these properties. I've lived there for 44 years, and as you stated, it's not historic and it could have been torn down, and I'm here to support this variance they're asking for because I'm so grateful that they've not torn it down, but apparently spent $1.5 million on a 3-bedroom home, completely remanufacturing it in the same footprint and style, and even the variance is period correct, and so I'm the one person in this room that's going to look at it for the rest of my life, and so I'd ask you to please support their request for a variance. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you. I don't have any other comment cards. Is there anyone else here in the audience who wishes to speak on this application? Okay, I'll now ask staff if there are any emails or voicemails or anything that need to be entered into the record.
No, sir.
Okay. With that, I will close the public hearing, and I'll provide an opportunity for the applicant if you do have any. We often provide that for rebuttal, but I don't know that you have any rebuttal or any closing statements. Okay, if not, we'll move into executive session. So I'll start off with Board Member Picotte. Any comments or discussion?
No comments.
Okay. Board Member Burgess?
Just two things to note, I think in the consideration, sometimes what we look at when we're enclosing the carports and addressing variances is what the space is left over to park a vehicle in front in the driveway, and there's still 20 feet plus of clearance here, so that's an important consideration. And we'll also look at the percentage of pervious and impervious space in the front setback, which also looks like it's appropriately minimized according to the original, driveway configuration, to the point where you've even kind of reduced the garage width to respect that original footprint. So I appreciate both of those considerations as part of the application.
Yep, makes sense. Okay, and Board Member Hack, any comments or discussion? Okay, and I don't have any further comments or discussion. So at this point, we'll entertain a motion. There was one staff recommended condition, so if it's desired to include that condition, I'll just ask the motion maker to make sure to include the condition in their motion. Is there a motion?
I'll move that the Zoning Board of Appeals grant ZBA case number 3447, a request by Walter Hyde III of Design Art Architects Florida LLP on behalf of Jane Williams, the owner, for a variance from section 94-72A2A of the city's zoning and land development regulations for the enclosure of a carport within the required front setback, a total of 20-foot setback where a 25-foot setback is required. The motion is based upon the testimony presented along with the application submitted and staff report, which constitute competent substantial evidence. The board hereby makes finding of fact that each of the criteria in Article 2, Section 94-38D6 of the City of West Palm Beach zoning and land development regulations have been met. In addition, the granting of the variance is made conditional upon the following restrictions, stipulations, and/or safeguards that I move are necessary to ensure compliance with the purpose and intent of the zoning and land development regulations and consistent with the comprehensive plan of the City of West Palm Beach. The front setback variance shall only apply to the proposed enclosed carport.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. The motion was made by Board Member Burgess and seconded by Board Member Picat. I'll now ask our secretary to please call the roll.
Dana Picat,
Yes.
Jonathan Burgess,
Yes.
Christopher Hagan,
Yes.
Sherry Hack.
The motion passes 4-0. The case is approved. So thank you. At this point, that was the only case on today's agenda. So looking at the rest of it, I don't believe we have any other items of business. So with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion.
Okay. Is there a second? To adjourn?
Second.
Okay, the motion was made by Board Member Picat and seconded by Board Member Burgess. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. At 1:53 p.m., the meeting is adjourned.